I want to talk about a massive misconception that's going out there today, which is all about having the right gear before you get started as a content creator, as a YouTuber, as a filmmaker, photographer, whatever it is. People seem to think that you have to have all of this big, amazing, expensive gear before you get started, and it's simply not true. But the other thing that's not true is when people say gear doesn't matter, your equipment doesn't matter, just use what you have, because there's truths and there's lies to both things. There's pros and cons to both things, and we need to cover that. So let's have a look at it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this whole thing of you need to have big, expensive camera gear before you get started. Now, where this idea has come from is when you look on social media and YouTube today, you will see big creators that have expensive cameras. They'll have like cinema line cameras, really high-end expensive lenses that cost $2,000 each. They'll have massive lighting setups. They'll have a sound-treated room. They'll have expensive microphones. And you seem to think that that is the barrier for entry for YouTube now. And essentially, the big YouTubers are running out of professional production suites and professional studios that would rival that of some sort of TV set. And that is the barrier for entry now when it comes to YouTube. And that's what everyone seems to think. But that is simply not true, because one of the YouTubers I want to talk about is a YouTuber called Taylor Bell, and she is a content creator from New York City. She has over 500,000 subscribers, over 500,000 subscribers, where she makes day in the life videos talking about lifestyle stuff, her in New York City and all that sort of thing. And most of her videos are made on the iPhone 16 Pro. Most of them are made on a phone. So you can just use your phone to make content. Now, she is making multiple six figures every single year as a full-time content creator, and she does it with an iPhone 16 Pro and a MacBook Pro, and that is pretty much all she uses. Now, let's look at the filmmaking niche. There is a content creator called Andy2, and he basically makes all of his YouTube videos around the whole thing of I want to make content with whatever I have available to me. Now, yes, he uses very high-end cameras a lot of the time, but when a new product is released, like an iPhone 16 Pro, like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, he will make a video, a cinematic, high-quality video just using that device. So you do not need to have all this big expensive camera gear before you get started on YouTube, because what happens is people use that as a prerequisite and an excuse to making content. I will make a YouTube video when I buy a Sony FX3, when I buy a super amazing G Master lens, when I have amazing lighting all through my studio, when I have an amazing podcast microphone. And you will make these excuses that you will always need the biggest and better thing before you can start making content. And let me tell you, you will never have all the right equipment, because if you look at my videos 2 years ago, I've upgraded my gear several times since starting my YouTube channel. And I keep upgrading my gear all the time, because you're never going to have all the best gear. You're always going to want to upgrade to something. Now, what you need to do is get good at the gear that you have. So if you've got an Osmo Pocket 3 or an iPhone 16 Pro, and this is all that you have available to you, then just start getting good with the gear that's available to you. Get your iPhone 16 Pro or your Samsung S25 Ultra or your Google Pixel 7 or Pixel 8 or whatever you've got. Then get yourself on Amazon and look up the Hollyland Lark M2, which is a $100 microphone that connects to your phone via USB-C. And then you get this tiny little lav mic that you can pin on your collar. And then you plug the receiver into your phone and you plug the receiver up here on your collar. And then you can just hook your phone up to a little holder that you can put up top on your computer desk or wherever you want to do it, and then you can start just making content with your phone. Now, if you've got a computer, great, you can edit using DaVinci Resolve. It's completely free. I used it for the first 2 years of my YouTube journey, or the free version before I upgraded. And if you don't have that, then download the CapCut app on your phone or something similar, some other editing software, and just edit it on your phone and then upload it to social media. You can also use Canva, the free version, on your phone. People make excuses about creating content. I don't have the money for gear. I don't have the money for equipment. The reality is you're just making excuses. You can use Canva for free, DaVinci Resolve for free. You can use your phone, get yourself a $100 microphone, and then start creating content, and then upgrade your equipment as you go along and as you've saved up to buy that equipment. Now, that is the first part, and that's the first bit of tough love that's over. The second part is where people say that gear doesn't matter. Gear does matter to a certain extent. You shouldn't use the whole thing of gear matters as a prerequisite to start on YouTube. You should just start with the equipment that you have available. But then you need to start leveling up your equipment, because you're going to reach the ceiling of your capabilities once you've got really good at content creation and filmmaking and all that stuff with a phone. You need to start upgrading to good equipment in order to level up your creative ability. For example, you're not going to turn up to a wedding with an iPhone 16 Pro and say, hey, I'm here to film your wedding, because it's not going to happen. You need to invest in some good camera gear. Once you've started using your creative ability, then you've figured out how to do it, then you just start using your equipment that you have, then you level up, and then you get a good camera, a good lens, good audio, good lighting, good soundproofing, all of that stuff. And then once you've done all that, then you can just keep upgrading, keep upgrading. So gear does matter because you can grow into it. But gear shouldn't matter if you're using it as an excuse before you can get started on social media. So just start with the gear that you have, but then also upgrade to good gear, because good equipment is really, really good, and it's so much fun. Using some really good cameras, really good lenses, you can get so much out of it, and you will notice the difference once you start using a high quality camera and a high quality lens. It just changes the game, and also it makes things so much more fun, because we get stuck in the world of using your phone because it's always in your pocket to take photos and everything. And that's great to test your creative ability, but nothing beats taking out a professional mirrorless camera with a professional lens and just taking some creative shots, setting up your shot with the lighting, the ISO, the aperture, all that stuff, and then snapping that shot and then taking it into Photoshop or Lightroom and editing it. It just looks so much better, and it's so much fun testing your creative ability doing that. So don't use the excuse of, I need to have the best gear before I get started on YouTube. Just do it. But also don't have this attitude of gear doesn't matter, I can just use a phone, because you're not going to grow. You can only reach a certain limit of growing to a certain level when you've only got a phone. You need to have a good camera in order to level up and get better at it. And trust me, from somebody who's been on this journey as a filmmaker and photographer for 5+ years, it is so much fun when you get to test out and play with new toys and equipment. So go out there, have some fun, create some content with what you have, and then save up and get yourself some good gear. And if you do want to get some good gear, I'd recommend getting the Sony a7C II. It is the perfect all-round hybrid camera for photography and videography, or the a7 IV, which is what I'm filming on right now. The a7 II is just a more modern version of that camera with better features. Or if you're just into photos, then get the a7CR or the a7R5. And if you're just into video, get something like the Sony FX3, because that will last you for donkey's years. So this is what I would recommend doing. Let me know in the comments what you think about creating content. But I think it really annoys me when you see people talk about camera gear, and gear doesn't matter, because it does to a certain extent, but also it shouldn't stop you. So I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments below where you're at in your journey and what equipment you like using. And I'll see you in the next one.